Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Fiqh of Zakah, a series of episodes where we look and discuss this very important topic of Zakah, how we can understand it, how we can implement it in our lives, and how we can help those who are unfortunate in our societies. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome Sheikh Muhammad to this program.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Jamil.
Jazakallah Sheikh. In previous episodes, Sheikh, you've helped us understand this topic of zakah, where it comes from, how to understand what we have to give. And we've been speaking about really monetary before, and gold and silver. In the previous episode, we did step into the topic of produce, and we just looked into it slightly. Can I ask you, where does produce come into the whole arena of zakah, Sheikh?
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa la siyama al-mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallama tasliman kathira. All praise be to Allah alone, and may the best peace and blessings be upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah the Almighty says in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu anfiqu min tayyibati ma kasabtum وَمِمَّا أَخْرَجْنَا لَكُم مِّنَ الْأَرْضِ. That is verse number 267, or a part of the verse. What does it mean? This is a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give nafaqah. And nafaqah is another name of zakah. أَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, to spend in the cause of Allah. أَنْفِقُوا مِنْ طَيِّبَاتِ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ. Spend from the lawful earning of yours, of what you have earned, lawfully. So that's pertaining gold and silver and trade and all of that. وَمِمَّا أَخْرَجْنَا لَكُم مِّنَ الْأَرْضِ. And that benefits a couple of things. It benefits whatever the earth produces, it is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one who sends down the rain, and He's the one who produces the fruits, plants and vegetations. So whenever we enjoy that, we must give a nafaqah or a zakah or a mandatory charity in addition to the voluntary charity, obviously. في سورة الأنعام, the cattle, verse number 141, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَهُوَ الَّذِي أَنشَأَ جَنَّاتٍ مَعْرُوشَاتٍ وَغَيْرَ مَعْرُوشَاتٍ وَالنَّخْلَ وَالزَّرْعَ مُخْتَلِفًا أُكُلُهُ وَالزَّيْتُونَ وَالرُّمَّانَ مُتَشَابِهًا وَغَيْرَ مُتَشَابِهٍ كُلُوا مِنْ ثَمَرِهِ إِذَا أَثْمَرَ وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ. And this verse means that it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who produces gardens for us, framed and unframed. مَعْرُوشَاتٍ وَغَيْرَ مَعْرُوشَاتٍ. If you happen to enter some garden before, especially in the villages, you see in the grapevines, for instance, they make like frames so that the plants would climb on it. مَعْرُوشَاتٍ وَغَيْرَ مَعْرُوشَاتٍ. وَالنَّخْلَ وَالزَّرْعَ. And the date palm trees and the other plants and crops of diverse flavor. Even it can be the same field or the same name, but it gives different taste. Anyway, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reminds us with His favor of producing for us from the same earth, different flavors, different plants, fruits and vegetations. Then He commanded us the conclusion of the ayah. كُلُوا مِنْ ثَمَرِهِ إِذَا أَثْمَرَ. Eat you all out of the fruits whenever it ripens and it is mature. And also وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ. And pay its due rights, the rights in it of the poor. يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ. On the day of its harvest. On the day that you harvest the fruits, for whichever fruits are zakatable, or grains, whenever certain grains are zakatable, at the day of its harvest. So this is basically the essence of mandating certain zakah rate on certain grapes, on certain grains and certain fruits. And why did I say certain grains and fruits? Because zakah is not due or compulsory in all fruits, vegetations and plants. No. And Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he delegated Mu'adh ibn Jabal or Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, in this delegation we have learned a lot of things with regards to Tawheed, with regards to Fiqh and understanding. And he commanded them in this particular incident. He said, أمرهم, he ordered them not to take the sadaqah, the mandatory zakah, except from 4 kinds of plants or produce. Al-hinta, that is the wheat. Al-sha'ir, barley, so 2 grains. And 2 types of fruit. At-tamr was zabib, the dates and raisins. That's why the scholars said these are the 4 items that Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that we must pay zakah on them whenever we harvest them. Then we find another opinion. Imam Abu Hanifa, may Allah have mercy on him, said, no, rather the zakah is due on everything that the earth produces, as long as it is edible and is useful, unless if it is something such as grass or fruitless trees, then it is not zakatable.
Why? Sorry, if I could. Sorry, just stop you here. Somebody may ask, but why? I mean, the Prophet ﷺ just told us these 4 categories. Why would Abu Hanifa turn around and expand this category? You say, why? Yeah.
Because he reasoned. He said the hadith in which the Prophet ﷺ mandated the zakah on produce. He said, فيما سقت السماء العشر. When we come pretty soon to speak about the zakah rate, the percentage on the produce, we will discuss this hadith. This one hadith which says if the field or the plants were irrigated via the rainwater without any effort, naturally, not artificially, not with mechanical means, the zakah rate is 1/10 or teth. Versus in cash, in paper money, in gold and silver, it was ربع العشر, a quarter of 1/10, 2.5%. Now, the field which is irrigated naturally by the rainwater or spring or whatever, the zakah rate is 1/10. He said, فيما سقت السماء العشر. So he said, it's general, he did not specify. And furthermore, the reason or the effective cause of the zakah on produce, according to Abu Hanifa, is nama'ul ard, anything that causes development and growth on earth is zakatable. Unless if it is something insignificant or is not useful for men, such as I said, fruitless trees or grass. Obviously, the more right view is the view which relies on the very specific hadith. So if we have فيما سقت السماء العشر, this is general. But Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam specified to Abu Musa al-Ash'ari or Mu'adh ibn Jabal not to take zakah except from these 4 kinds. The barley, the wheat, the dates, and the raisins.
So now how do we take this forward? Now we've got these categories. How do we go about looking at the zakah for these, Sheikh?
You mean the nisab?
Well, I mean 2 things, which is which types, again, some clarification, and of course, yes, this nisab, this point of nisab, Sheikh.
The Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith, which is narrated by Abu Hurairah, may Allah be pleased with him, لَيْسَ فِي مَا دُونَ خَمْسَةِ أَوْسُقٍ صَدَقَةٍ. So now we're entering into a different area. Now we're not talking about the value of gold and silver and gram and dirham and dinar. We're talking about measurement. Al-wasaq is singular of awsuq. So awsuq is plural. Al-wasaq is a camel load. And a camel load is equivalent to 60 sa'. And really every Muslim should be aware of these terms. Why? Because when we come to speak about sadaqatul fitr, which basically vast majority of Muslims, even the poor, they exchange, they pay, they give to each other. We speak about the sa'. When we speak about the kafara, the ransom in case of not fasting Ramadan, we say feeding, how much. So the word sa' will be very commonly used. A sa' is equivalent to, it's a measure, and it is equivalent to, in weight, 2.5 kilogram. So if we have, you have your iPad, you're a high-tech man, now you can use it.
Yeah.
If we have a camel load that is 60 sa', times 2.4. I hope I'm not faster than you.
144.
Okay, again. 60 sa' times 2.4.
Yep, 144.
Great. Times 5.
Okay. Times it by 5, 720.
Why did I say times 5? Because the Prophet ﷺ said, لَيْسَ فِي مَا دُونَ خَمْسَةِ أَوْسُقٍ. So the produce have to meet this nisab. If it is lesser than that, then there is no zakah on it. There is no zakah owed on it. But if it attains this nisab, which is خَمْسَةُ أَوْسُقٍ, he said 720 kilogram of wheat, of raisin, of dates or barley, then it is zakatable. And zakah in this case will be determined according to the mean of irrigation. Irrigating the field, whether it was irrigated naturally or artificially. But before we go into the rate, I would like to say a very important thing. People may ask, why khamsat awsuq?
That's the question in my mind. Why this 5? Where does this 5 come from?
Because the scholars looked at it and they said an average family consists of 3. A man, his wife, and maybe a child or a servant. Khamsatu awsuq, the 720 kilogram of food will be sufficient for them for an entire year.
That's true, yeah.
To live on. Obviously, we're talking about average people. We're not talking about people who take a bite and throw the rest in the trash. Or they order double burger and 1 liter of Coke. No, we're talking about reasonable people who live with moderation, not wasteful people. So that amount of 5 awsuq consists of 300 sa' or approximately 720 kilogram of grains or dates or raisin will be sufficient for a family of 3 to live on for an entire year.
Great. Jazakallah khair, Shaykh, for that. We're going to take a short break now and return in a couple of minutes. Please do stay with us on the Fiqh of Zakah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Give a little of yourself. Give our time, give our wealth, give our love, give ourselves.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Fiqh of Zakah. Sheikh, just on the break before, we started going into the topic of crops and produce, and you gave some explanation about the categories that the Prophet ﷺ spoke about and what some of the jurists speak about. Can we go on to the topic of the rate of zakah to these crops? Because I know this is a very important part of understanding how to go about collecting zakah on these.
Sure. Well, basically, the reference to that is a sound hadith that is collected by Imam Bukhari and others and narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with him and his father. He narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, فيما سقت السماء والعيون أو كان عثريا العشرة. And I will explain what does it mean. وفيما سقي بالنضح نصف العشر. The meaning of that, the Prophet ﷺ said, on that which was watered or irrigated by the heavens, the rainwater or springs or its own roots. You know how sometimes on lakes there are plants which grow because the roots are extended and they take the water from the lakes or the rivers or creeks. So basically the farmer did not make much effort. He sowed the seed and it was irrigated by the rainwater or springs or naturally. So the zakah rate on that increases to 1/10 al-ushr or tenth. But if it was irrigated, the field was irrigated via mechanical means or artificial means or had to pay for water, in this case the rate is reduced into half. So it will be al-khums, نصف العشر, I'm sorry, it will be نصف العشر, which is 5%.
A 20th of
1/20th. Exactly. So any irrigation which was done by a machine, or the farmer had to pay for the water or whatever, the zakah rate is reduced. You may ask, what if it was mixed?
Mm-hmm.
In America, for instance, you travel thousands of miles and you see wonders. There are huge fields where in many cases the farmers do not even worry about irrigating their fields. They sow the seed and they just collect and they harvest. This is blessings, ni'am from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Yet people do not recognize that, and they turn to others with gratitude. Other worshiping idols or human beings like them or whatever. This is an ayah, a sign that we see every day. So, if this is the case and it was irrigated by the rainwater or naturally, the zakah rate, as I said, 1/10. What if sometimes the person has to supplement that by artificial irrigation?
Mm-hmm.
Then the scholars said, then it will be halfway, 7.5. 7.5, or ثلاثة أرباع العشر, 3/4 of 1/10. The rate will be determined on the nisab based on, as I said, measure, 5 أوسق,
Mm-hmm.
can be converted into weight through the previous calculation which we did before the break. There are certain things which, instead of weighing or measuring, there will be conjecture,
An approximation. Why such an approximation, Sheikh? Why?
First of all, let me tell you in what plant,
Mhm.
in the date palm trees, in the dates, and the grapevines.
Dates and grapevines, okay.
So, conjecture or approximation in the estimating the nisab
Mhm.
and the value or the amount of the dates or the grapes would not be via measure or weight. Why?
Mhm.
Because when we come to take out the zakah, it will be after the dates are dried up or matured,
Mhm.
harvest, and the grapes have become raisin, right? So we call it tamr
Mhm.
and zabib.
Mhm.
But normally with these fruits, people eat out of them, either before or after they're dried up. We eat the grapes as fruits on the table, and sometimes we save some to dry them up and make them raisins. So by the time we consume the ripened fruits or the mature dates, and that will be recognized by, it will turn to red color for the dates, for instance, by its red color, or by the sweetness of the grapes, we say it's already mature enough or ripened, so we eat it as fruits. By the time we consume and we sell, that how much is left? A great deal of it will be gone without estimating the proper value of zakah. And that's why we tend to or resort to an expertise, a person who would look at the field, and this process is called al-khars.
Mhm.
And the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam did that, and that's why we're following this. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, once when he was returning from the battle of Tabuk, and the hadith is narrated by Abu Humayd al-Sa'idi, he said, once we went with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the battle of Tabuk, and when we passed by a valley called Wadi al-Qura, there was a woman in her hadiqa or garden. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to his companions, "Ikhrusu, let us estimate her zakah." وخرص رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم 10 أوسق. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's estimate was that would be 10 أوسق. 10 أوسق times 60 صاع times 2.4 kilogram. And this estimation or conjecture will be not according to the ripened or the green fruit which we see, will be about what will happen after this ripened fruits dried up. It will give us approximately 720 kilo or 1400 kilogram, etc. So this estimation or approximation will be done by the expertise, and farmers have this privilege of knowing exactly. They can even estimate once they sow the seed, inshallah, hopefully, they will get that much out of this field and that much out of this field. Keep in mind that the Prophet ﷺ said to those who would do this khars or conjuncture or approximation, to deduct out of it 1/3 or at least 1/4. For what? Since the fruits are still on the trees, there are some natural disasters may happen, ruin some of the plants. The birds eat. And we know that the Prophet ﷺ prayed for one who plants any fruits, plants or vegetations where a human being or a bird or an animal or even an insect would live on that or eat out of it. So Nabi ﷺ said to the person who would do this conjuncture to deduct 1/3 or 1/4 for disasters or the plants which will be ruined, and the 2/3 will be the approximate remaining part after it dried up. And then when it is dried up, we will take out of that 1/10 if it was irrigated, if the field was irrigated by the rainwater or springs, or 1/5 if it was irrigated artificially.
1/20th if it was irrigated.
Correct. That's right. Thank you for correcting me. Or 1/20th, or what we call it, نصف العشر, half of 1/10.
Great. Now you opened up a subject. I think you did it maybe on purpose or not, but I think I'm going to catch you on this one. The whole. We haven't discussed this really, Sheikh. When it comes to produce, you said now, for example, when the dates are ripe, when the grapes are ripe or the dates are now harvested, okay? What about the rest of the crops? When's their lunar year?
The very first reference that we quoted, or the second, was in verse number 141 of Surah Al-An'am. After Allah reminded us with His favor upon us of producing the plants, fruits and vegetations, He said, كُلُوا مِنْ ثَمَرِهِ إِذَا أَثْمَرَ وَآتُوا حَقَّهُ يَوْمَ حَصَادِهِ, and pay its due right or zakah on the day of its harvest. Well, in this case, the same field can produce several crops in the same hawl or year. So the hawl does not apply to plants, fruits and vegetations, nor does it apply to al-rikaz wal-ma'adin, the treasures and minerals, which will be discussed later on, insha'Allah azza wa jal. So the hawl will be replaced by the time of the harvest. For instance, for the grains, after the husk, straws, all of that and impurities are removed and the grains are cleansed, it will be measured or weighed and will take the proper zakah rate, whether al-ushr or nisf al-ushr, 1/10 or 1/20th. Not 1/20th, rather it will be 5%. 5%. Because al-ushr is 10%. And nisf al-ushr is half of that, which is 5%. So let me recap quickly. In case of gold, silver, trade of goods, paper money and banknotes and CDs and stock shares, that is all 2.5%. Okay? In case of plants and fruits, we said the Prophet ﷺ specified certain kinds. الشعير والقمح والزبيب والتمر, wheat, barley, dates and raisin. The zakah rate will vary from 1/10, which is 10%, if it was irrigated naturally, to 5% if it was irrigated by any artificial means.
Jazakallah Shaykh. Again, you give us more information and very detailed information. And as always, I do recommend our viewers to take notes and look into this subject. This is a very important topic. It's a topic where more than 50 ayahs of the Quran Allah has revealed on this topic, something that affects every single one of us, and something which is to us the third pillar of Islam, and the first maybe looking into the economic system of Islam. Please join me next time on this amazing and important program, the fiqh of zakah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.